Welcome to the 31st reading of my memoir, The Innocence of Guilt. The pinging test. School had any number of expectations for us, and I tried with all my heart to live up to them. A yearly deportment competition. For a month, the teachers watched how you held yourself. No slouching or sloppy behavior on school grounds. Heads held high at all times, shoulders back. One foot in front of the other, in a neat fashion. I gave up despite my initial interest. Another competition involved analysis for potential prefect material. This one I dearly wanted to be a winner at, if for no other reason than to experience the power prefects exhibited over relatively innocent pupils who could hardly breathe in their presence without being sent to the headmaster's study. Not the one at the top of the winding set of stairs, but the one on the main floor, where everybody worth anything could see you queuing up for your dressing down or your caning, if a boy. I wasn't considered prefect material, but I never understood why. I thought appearances were what mattered, whether you wore every vestige of the school uniform down to the school tie, and carried a regulation school satchel, not a clutch bag or some other fashionable purse, a habit of some older girls, not academically inclined. I showed up every day wearing my school uniform because it was drilled into you to represent the school by dressing correctly. My satchel carried all the essential school supplies. I never needed to ask anybody for anything. In fact, I became frustrated with girls who never brought anything to school and then bugged me to lend them my precious colored pencils. They had to last me all year, and I took care of them. So it was a huge shock to me when the headmaster himself broke the school rules. It happened at the annual recitation contest, where I stood up and read a piece of prose describing the power and majesty of the sea. I had very good diction and expression when reading out loud, something I nonetheless still feared. I couldn't believe it when the recitation prize was awarded to another girl instead of me. The headmaster said I came a close second to the girl who won, but she not only read well a piece about a summer flower garden, but looked every inch the part in her beautiful flowery frock. I wore my freshly ironed school uniform, not suspecting it would jeopardize my performance. I sensed betrayal and decided not to obey the stupid rules regarding the uniform anymore. Mum wasn't too happy, as Din bought our school uniforms, and I could still fit into mine. From now on, I would have to purchase some of my clothes with my pocket money if I refused to wear the uniform. No problem. I'd save up and go to Woolworths and get most of what I needed. Regular clothes thus became my hopeful passport to being accepted into the group of more popular girls. It came with certain pressures, though, albeit more pleasurable than painful. I now was compelled to keep abreast of the latest fads and crazes sweeping through school every few weeks or so. Our neighbour, Mrs. Sadler, gave Mum some parachute silk which had made the rounds out of all the surplus from the war years, but Mum had no use for it. She let me have it to make a blouse for myself. My first blouse: 2 silk squares, sliced down the middle in the front, lace from Woolworths to decorate the sleeve openings and the front, held together with snap fasteners, all done without a pattern and sewn together by hand, despite my failings in needlework at school. It didn't need much shape, as I was pretty much shapeless myself at the age of 14. To my surprise, none of the girls at school ridiculed me. Less success with my next creation, however. My first jacket. One of my brothers cast off pajama tops, dyed bright red and fastened with oversized buttons. At the park, some girls from school asked me why I was wearing a pajama top outside. I hadn't noticed the stripes of the fabric still visible through the red dye, giving away the jacket's original identity. Their remarks stopped me wearing it outside the house, but I wished I didn't care what they thought. By the age of 14, a bra was an absolute necessity for any girl. So fed up with one of the girls coming behind me and running her finger down my back to see if she could detect my bra strap and perform what became known around school as the pinging test, I told Mum I must have a bra. My mother didn't possess such an alien piece of underclothing, so she snapped at me with, "What do you want one of those for?" I could hardly justify my need for one, being as flat as the pancakes she dished up on Pancake Day. She refused to buy me a bra, and as I didn't have the money for one, I had no choice but to sew one myself, or be doomed to fail the all-important pinging test forever. My first bra. 2 tiny squares of sheeting material from my mother's rag basket. Little darts sewn on 4 corners of each square. Hook and eye fasteners and elastic purchased from Woolworth's ever-reliable stock of notions, plus a little touch of lace. Off I trotted to school, ready to meet the pinging test. And sure enough, as soon as I queued up to go in, a finger slid down my back. Ping went the elastic, and I immediately passed the test, allowing me legitimate entry into fledgling womanhood. Daphne, my long-lost friend of Park Farm fame, would have been proud of me. Ankle socks in fluorescent colours of shocking pink, lime green and bright orange dotted the playground for a season. But nothing promised more excitement than a suspender belt and a pair of nylon stockings. I acquired the belt with no problem. Next came the purchase of the nylons, which I asked Mum to buy for me. My pocket money disappeared fast, with all the necessities of my changing image and the pressure to conform. Mum didn't say when she'd buy me the nylons. She probably hoped the whole craze would fizzle out and I'd be back to ankle socks, which, following the dictates of fashion, did happen. The day my mother presented me with my first pair of nylons ought to have been one of the most momentous occasions of my young life. It turned out to be a huge emotional catastrophe. When I arrived home from school, she scurried up the stairs and came back down with a wrapped package, which she handed to me with a smile. I couldn't wait to open it up. Such disappointment when I saw the nylons. 30 denier, the ones older ladies wore, not the 15 denier that were all the rage at school. "I can't wear these, Mum," I told her, "or the girls will laugh at me." The look on my poor Mum's face, as if I'd whacked her with something. "What's wrong with them, dear?" she said. And when I explained, she still didn't get the significance of it, how I had to wear what all the other girls wore. She wouldn't agree to return them and get me what I wanted, but insisted on me wearing them. I didn't want to hurt her, but I couldn't wear those nylons to school. In tears, I ran upstairs. I knew I could save up and buy my own nylons, but I could never take away the pain I'd caused my mother by refusing her well-meaning gift. What I never understood was why I always ended up hurting her whenever I tried to fill a need of my own. Every time I expressed my feelings, she interpreted them as personal attacks against herself. Still, I had no choice but to persist in following all the trends as they emerged on the school playground, a matter of survival. Changing fashions in dress, circular skirts, pencil slim skirts, net petticoats, hoop petticoats, bumper shoes, rope shoes, slip-on shoes, the inevitable game crazes, 5 stones, jacks, pocket solitaire, skipping rope, hopscotch, 2-ball up the wall, hula hoops and yo-yos. Anything to do with film stars, the glossy Christmas time annuals, and the photo cards inserted in bubblegum packets all year round. A favourite game involved holding up a card and asking a girl to guess the name of the star, including facts written on the back of the card. My memory was amazing, and I could recite the facts regarding every one of the different dog breeds in Mum's Crufts Dog Show book, ditto with the bubblegum cards. Unfortunately, once the girls discovered I was a veritable walking dictionary on film stars, past and present, they barred me from the game. Only when stuck on some information would they come to me for help. So much for trying to fit in, a constant struggle. Thank you for listening. Please feel free to subscribe, like, or comment on this reading, and hopefully you will tune in to the next one. Bye for now.